Hi there, I'm White Davy. In today's video, we are going to be looking at how the soil food web can transform your garden into a paradise of plants. We all know that a healthy soil food web is the key to a successful garden. But have you ever wondered, how does a healthy soil food web improve the structure of your garden? That is what we are going to be discussing in today's video. So let's get right into it. Last week we looked at how you can create that vibrant garden by improving the health of your garden through the soil food web. Now we're going to continue with that discussion because we mentioned the bacteria and the fungi that feeds on the exudates that the plants produce, and in turn the bacteria and fungi gets eaten by the nematodes and protozoas in the soil. But it doesn't stop there. The nematodes and the protozoa themselves also get eaten by arthropods that lives in the soil, or they travel on the soil. So for example, we have arthropods such as millipedes, centipedes, earwigs, you name it. There are quite a wide variety of soil arthropods that feeds on nematodes and protozoa. These nematodes also feed on themselves, and eventually they become a sumptuous feast for other creatures such as birds and moles and snakes and so much more. Now these organisms, they all play a very important role in the structure of your soil. For example, the bacteria, they are not able to move about in the soil, and to prevent themselves from being washed away, they produce the slime that they use to attach themselves to the soil particles. But how does that play a part in the soil structure? As these bacteria attaches themselves using their slime to the soil particles, they also attach soil particles to other soil particles, and thus helping to prevent soil erosion. Fungi also plays a part as they travel through the soil in bonding the particles of the soil together. So that's one aspect of how these bacteria and fungi improve the soil structure. But what about other creatures? As other creatures move about through the soil, whether they are in search of food or they're seeking protection from their predators, they create these unique, intricate web of tunnels in the soil. And the benefit of these tunnels is that it allows airflow through your soil, and it also allows passages for water to get deep down into your soil, providing water for your plants to grow. But these tunnels also serve as a proper drainage so that your soil will be able to hold some moisture, but the excess moisture can drain away from your soil. Some of these creatures that help to create tunnels include things like worms. Oh, I love worms. It includes things like worms, moles, and all different types of soil boring animals. Now some of these animals, they will also take food from the surface down into these tunnels, and so they are producing not only a means for airflow and for moisture, but they're also taking nutrients down into your soil. Now the important thing that sets having a healthy soil food web way above using chemical fertilizer is that for chemical fertilizer, there is just a small portion that actually gets to the root of your plants. The rest of it gets washed away to the water table. What is the difference between the beneficial life form in your soil though? They provide nutrients to your plants in two ways, either by dying and their decaying bodies become nutrients for other organisms, or they themselves break down decaying matter that you can find in your soil. And this decaying matter provides nutrients for your plants. Now for your plants, the root of your plant has what is known as the rhizosphere around the root of the plant, which is usually just a few millimeters from the root of your plant. And as these bacteria, fungi goes there to feed and get feasted upon, the nutrients is released in that rhizosphere and provided simple nutrients that your plants can absorb. So these nutrients is readily available right at the root of your plants for them to absorb. And these microorganisms, all of the organisms that make up the soil food web, also store nutrients in their bodies. And as we discussed earlier, remember how that bacteria and those fungi attaches themselves to the soil? Yes, by attaching themselves to the soil, they don't get washed away, unlike the chemical fertilizer that doesn't attach itself to anything and so it gets washed away. These organisms that lives in the soil, they store the nutrients within themselves, and as they store the nutrients within themselves and they're not being washed away, the nutrients is immobilized in their bodies, and now they can hold on to that nutrients as they die or as they become food for other organisms, or as they drop their waste, then it becomes nutrients for your plants. So in that way, this is why it is so important that we try to develop the soil food web in our gardens. And it doesn't matter if we are growing indoors or outdoors. Yes, when we grow indoors, we don't have access to all the beneficial organisms that would be outdoors, but we can create that garden that is still going to have a lot of these beneficial organisms. So if you want to introduce more beneficial organisms to your garden, if you're growing indoors, one advantage, one way that you can do that is by taking soil from outdoors and putting that into your garden, and that will also introduce more beneficial organisms. So guys, this is how the organisms, the soil food web is able to improve the structure. So again, each organism feeds on the other and release nutrients, or as they feed, they drop their excrement and that becomes nutrients for your plants. And as other predators seek out these organisms, they tunnel through the soil, creating passages for airflow, for moisture, and for some of these creatures to go to the surface to pull the nutrients down into the soil. So this is how these soil food web is able to improve the structure of your soil. Now, if you haven't seen my video last week on how you can create that vibrant garden using the soil food web, I'm going to be leaving a link down in the description so that you can go and check it out. Now you may be wondering that for most people the garden season, the growing season is up. Why am I putting out this video at this point in time? And the answer is quite simple. The best time for you to start developing your soil food web is not when you are ready to plant, it is well in advance. So for example, the growing season has just ended for most of us. For some it is just starting. If now you start putting that organic matter into your garden, it has time to start breaking down. It has time to start attracting that bacteria and those fungi and all the other beneficial organisms. And over the time that your land is resting or your garden is resting, these population can grow and they can improve the structure of your garden. Yes, you may need to add more organic matter when the growing season starts, but you want to get that healthy soil food web going now, so that by the time you put your plants in, your plants have the nutrients and the healthy soil that is going to help your garden to be that beautiful paradise of plants that you want it to be. So if you enjoy this video and you would like to see what's coming next, join us next week Thursday at 10 for another exciting video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Yeah man, a time for growth.